Mackenzie.
Lamar.
Everyone's expecting us to sing.
I
Cold
know.
open. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give him a reprieve because I told the musical month was over, and since then we've done like 2 musical/musical-ish films.
Musical-ish
So,
movies. Yeah.
cold open question: which one is
Hit
your
me.
favorite Korea? North Korea or South Korea? If you had to pick one of the two, I mean, they're both great, obviously, but
I love all the Koreas. Please don't nuke me.
okay, but that's the right answer. Yeah, okay. No, my real cold open question is this was clearly going to be nominated for Best Original Song. And do you have, out of all the winners of past years, do you have a Best Original Song winner from the Oscars?
You guys, Lamar can really only blame himself for asking me things
Here
where I
are
have to pick a
12
favorite
songs
thing.
that I think are my
It's
favorite.
really only his fault at this point, is what I want to just make clear. However, one, of course, it's really hard. I would just say the ones that come to mind are kind of recent, which is like a cheat, just because I'm sure they're not the best, but they're the ones that are most top of mind, which are like, I loved La La Land, which I've said on the pod before. City of Stars, I loved. I also really loved Shallow. Same thing.
Yeah, that was a banger.
That was a banger, yeah. And that whole, I mean, both of those, the whole soundtrack is incredible. Shallow's like that. There's another song on there that I actually like, arguably more than Shallow. But anyways, that's what one was really great. But one that also I always forget one and is such a classic to this day that everybody loves is Over the Rainbow. Like Over the Rainbow is
dude, that's a
like
good pull.
incredible. Yeah. So again, I'm sure there are way more, but those are the ones that kind of like jump out at me.
Yeah,
what about you?
Those are solid standouts for me. I was telling you before we started recording, I went down this rabbit hole of just it's not a topic that I've looked up before of what the winners were. First off, Disney had it on fucking lock in the 90s.
Dude. Yeah,
because like
because
every year. Yeah.
The Disney Renaissance of the 90s was we all benefited from that glory. And yeah, they won, rightly so. They won for a while.
Yeah, I feel like they won like 10 out of 12 years. And then I think Eminem came along in 2003 and fucked that whole system up. And it was like,
that's
wait
a really
second.
good one,
yeah.
though. That's
I was like,
cool.
People were like, wait a second. You can get a mainstream artist to like make a rap and like swear and you can still win best song. So I think I give him a little bit of credit. And then I also didn't realize that Brett McKenzie from Flight of the Conchords has an Oscar for, he co-wrote the song for the Jason Segel Muppet movie in 2012. And
which is like, that is mind-blowing on
right?
multiple levels. Muppets, like all the things. That's crazy.
It blew my mind because I feel like Jermaine from Flight of the, it was just a duo for those that don't know. And I feel like he gets a lot of notoriety lately. He was in What We Do in the Shadows, which I love, and he was in a Men in Black film, and he just seems to be all over the place. But Brett sort of disappeared off my radar outside of a random cameo in one of the Lord of the Rings films. But to know that he's got an Oscar, that helps me sleep a little better at night. Anyway, all those random facts to say, I think a dark horse that I really love is Falling Slowly from the movie Once. Have you seen that? Once. It was like 2008-ish.
Okay. Now I gotta Google while you're talking. Stand by. Keep going.
You should make it a point to either watch the film, or it is now this is the reverse, where it was a movie first, and because the movie was so good, they turned it into a musical. The movie itself is sort of a street busker in, I believe it's Ireland, and he's got some really good songs about breakups that he's performing on the corner. He runs into a random girl on the street. They start making music together. Yes.
This has been a minute. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay.
So Falling Slowly, I think that was already a song from The Frames, who are the band that guy is in real life. But yeah, they put it into the film. It won an Oscar. They made it into a musical. The musical is also very good. I've seen it twice, once on Broadway and once off. But yeah, highly recommend. I think that's my favorite.
Very cool. That also vaguely reminds me of Kneecap, which we talked about last
Yes.
year
Yep.
as being one that was really snubbed at the Oscars and
Yeah.
had an incredible soundtrack. And the same thing, it's a real band and they acted in the film and it's Irish rap and they rap in Irish, let's be
Yep.
clear. That's another really good one that I think it wasn't nominated, but like I think should have been in a lot of ways for that reason. So anyway, that's another one to check out that maybe has Once energy as well. So
Yeah.
cool.
Totally agree.
All right, kids, let's go talk K-pop. All right. Welcome back to We Drink and We Watch Things. I'm Mackenzie.
I'm Lamar.
And we are in our third installment already
Yes.
of Oscars month. So it is going fast. And I am not done, for the record. I'm not even close. But here we are on K-pop Demon Hunters.
You've got,
Wild.
I mean, so we're recording this on February 7th. So you've still got what, like a month or so until the
Yeah,
actual
I
release?
will say this year is like weirdly we have more time than typical.
Okay.
I think I had 45 days at the start, I think is what it worked out to be. Usually it's closer to a month. So it was a lot. But and they also had an even 50 noms this year, which is a little less than last
nice
year.
Round number, yeah.
Sometimes it's been like 55, 52, whatever. I think last year was 52. And I had started watching a couple more than is typical. I seem to average like 10 to 12 I have seen already, not a ton. And this year I had started with 14.
Okay.
So I'm like a little ahead of the game on all fronts, actually. I feel like the perfectionist procrastinator in me is gonna eat those words later. But yeah, so I have watched this one, but I'm not super far along. I'm not as far along as I should be. I think let's see, what am I at? I'm at 18. I'm at 18.
I was gonna say I don't want to stretch out this combo too long, but can you give the folks out there one film that you recommend out of the ones you've seen that maybe we're not covering this month, but you feel like is really worth a watch?
Yeah, I can. Well, there are a lot, but one of the ones I'll drop here that I just watched a couple days ago, it's on Netflix, so it's very easy for people to watch. It's called Train Dreams. It's Joel Edgerton.
Yeah, yeah.
It's based on a novella, a short novel that I had not read, but a coworker of mine had suggested, and it's like almost word for word true to the novella. There's a couple things that they change slightly or leave out. But on the whole, it's very similar and it complements. I just read a nonfiction story that was about logging recently that was really well done. This is a similar topic. It's about logging in the West and kind of that transition at the turn of the century of, what's happening to our forests. And also this is more of a look at like how the individual people survived who were a part of these communities. They worked on trains or they worked in the logging industry. And this is kind of a vignette, I would say, on this man and his life and kind of on the frontier, on the like last frontier really of the West at that time. And it's really beautifully done. And his performance is really well done. It's poignant, it's sad, but it's stunningly beautiful. And there's some interesting topics, like some challenging topics, but it doesn't hit you over the head with it. It's a very human story, I think.
That sounds a lot more. That's a lot more complex than I would have pegged it based on the name. I would just assume Trains Dream of Coal. It's probably an animated film. Train Dreams. Spoiler. It's called like that. That sounds like there's a lot more.
That's it, right?
There's a lot more levels than what I gave it credit
there's
for.
A lot more to it.
That.
There's a lot more. I do think actually the trailer does not do it justice. Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look really compelling. I think that's because the pacing is very slow. It's a very, just, I don't know. It's not calm, but it's quiet. It's a quiet, forceful film, which is interesting.
It's in the queue officially.
It's in the queue. All right, check it out. Anyways, now that we've misdirected entirely into Oscars films, which I can talk about all day. We are going to talk about another one. Obviously, K-pop Demon Hunters is the animated nom, one of the animated noms, and it's just a good time. This was like a phenomenon among my friends among the world for a minute, but especially my friends with kids. Like, talk to me about this a lot when it first came out,
That is, I wanted to get that out of the way early. I wanted to say this movie is not for me, and I do not mean that I did not enjoy this movie. Like, it was fine, but I
It's for
am
people with
in
kids.
nowhere in the target market for this. This is one of those kids movies
Same.
where I feel like this is made for kids. There's some funny moments for adults, but it's
Yep.
not the traditional you can sit down as a 40-year-old man and really, for me, really love this plot. It felt a little,
I think
by
as a
the
40-year-old
books,
woman, you can watch this and still have a good time. Let's just
okay,
let's just
we're gonna
start that.
disagree on, well, not disagree on that. It's you, but
Well,
I
yeah,
was
it's just a
like,
different perspective.
it was
Yeah.
fun. I liked the music. The
Yeah.
plot didn't do a ton for me. We'll get into it.
Okay, so before we get into it, because apparently we need drinks to get through this child's film, what are we drinking?
Yeah, so for all the kids out there listening, if you want to make this at home, it's 1.5 ounces of soju, which is a South Korean liquor, correct? Like, I don't know what it's. I feel like I
actually
found it
don't
right
know.
next
I mean, it's
to
an
the
Asian
sake
liqueur.
at the liquor. Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
I found it right next to the sake, but I don't know if it's made in any of the same ways that sake is. Anyway, it's 1.5 ounces of soju, half an ounce of, I always say this wrong, you guys know this, so now I just say it intentionally wrong, cream de cases. Half an ounce of that, half an ounce of lemon juice, and 0.25 ounces of palm juice. You're going to stir it, strain it into a wine glass with ice, and then top it with Prosecco or soda water. And it's going to come out to this like darkish red color, which is kind of close to what the demons are in this movie, I guess. They kind of go back for, yours is lighter than mine, actually. So
This wasn't quite what I was going for. I like purposefully lightened it a lot. I wanted you can't tell, there's like pink sparkles in here. And if you've seen the movie, then you understand, because like it needs to be bright pink or purple or something like that, because this is a very brightly colored film. So anyways, cheers.
Yeah, cheers. We're calling this Darkness and Harmony.
Which, if you've seen it, you get it. What can you do? Alrighty. Well, first of all, that's delicious.
Yeah, that's tasty.
That's
like
nice.
Smooth. It's an interesting liqueur.
Yeah, that's actually nice. Very subtle. Okay, let's go through some basics. As we've said before, this is K-pop Demon Hunters 2025. Obviously, this was a 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb, and critics and audiences, wow, loved this. And I am shooketh, because if you'll remember last week, we were talking about One Battle After Another, which is nominated for a Best Picture. And I would just love for you to go back and listen to the differences between these ratings, because this critics one was 92% from critics and 99% from audiences. Like, people loved this.
Sounds like this should be nominated for Best Picture as well.
Apparently, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's apparently Best Picture caliber ratings here is what I'm saying. So anyways, all right, interesting stuff. We have a couple of directors here, which is pretty common from what we've seen with animated films. We have Chris Applehans. I just love that name. Like, I know, I just think that's adorable. He has done other animated films. Wish Dragon is the one that maybe people know him for. I haven't seen. Maggie Kang has done this and like a bunch of music videos, and she's the other like big producer on this film, as well as one of the writers. So she's just like doing the most.
It's a lot of not necessarily first timers, but I would say definitely breakthrough on the crew side here. Breakthrough performances.
Yeah, like the first big one. Exactly. So a couple of the other writers, for example, Danya Jimenez plays or does the screenplay, and she did like Ren and Stimpy. And like just some of those episodes, well, like some episodes of Ren and Stimpy, and like
I don't believe that.
Other TV.
That is insane.
We also have Hannah McMeekin, TV stuff, and then she did a short called Ladyhood. So I haven't seen that at all, but yeah, like you said, a lot of breakout work happening here. And then our cast and crew, Arden Cho plays Rumi, also known for like Teen Wolf and Chicago Med and some other TV kind of stuff. And then Mei Hong plays Mira. She was in Hacks, which I love if you haven't seen, but I don't remember her in this, but she was in Hacks. And then Full Circle as well. And then we have Ji Young Yu, who plays Zoe. And she's done like mostly, it seems like Korean films. So Smoking Tigers, Until Dawn, a couple things like that. And then we have Anne Hee Soap that does the voice of Jin Yu. That's the Soulja Boy's guy, the lead singer of that.
I like that you're
And
saying Soulja Boy because that's all I kept hearing was like Soulja Boy up in it, even though they're like that's not the name, but all I could hear was that every time they appeared
it's
on
like
screen.
Soulja Boy. I don't know. It sounds
Yeah.
close. He did Omniscient Reader, Dr. Romantic, again, like Korean films. And then we have Yoon Jin Kim plays Celine. And she was known for Lost. So she was in Lost, the
Yeah, her
TV
and
series.
Daniel Day Kim, who has a minor role as the doctor,
Mhm.
played husband and wife on Lost, and
Yeah.
are both actually Korean. So this is
Yeah.
like 20 years in for them. God damn, they've been acting a long time.
They've been at it, man. She also did something called Shiri that looked really interesting, but I haven't seen it. And then closing us out is Ken Jeong, who plays Bobby. You probably know him from The Hangover. And if you didn't recognize his voice right away, then shame on you.
Yeah, he was all over The Masked Singer, and I remember him from Community. He's a great dude.
Yeah. He did Crazy Rich Asians as well. He plays a really
Mhm.
funny, silly character in that too. But yeah, he's probably the most well-known of this cast, perhaps. But pretty well-rounded, really cool cast. Again, because they're singing their roles, which I thought was awesome.
Did you touch on Lee Byung-hun or no? Lee Byung-hun?
I did not.
I
I did not.
apologize for poor pronunciation out there, guys, as always. But I thought you might recognize him because he was in, I know you're a big Western girl, but The Magnificent Seven with like Chris Pratt and Denzel Washington, he was in that as Bob, I forget his name, Bobby something, or yeah, he had a weird badass name. And he's also in G.I. Joe. He played Storm Shadow in that. I did want to add one thing, though, is I believe, if I have this correct, that the three main actresses in this do not do the majority of the singing for Huntrix. And so EJAE is the lead vocalist for Rumi, Audrey Nuna, and Ray Ami. So those are the three that performed the songs for Huntrix. I don't know about the rest of the cast, but just wanted to call those three out because they get a little cameo mid-credits there as well.
Nice. Okay, cool. So quick plot summary. I feel like everyone has seen this. I feel like we're the late ones to the party, but in case you missed it,
I watched it like 4 hours ago.
So. I know, right? So, but a world-renowned K-pop girl group balance their lives in the spotlight with their secret identities as demon hunters.
It's pretty on the nose for what the title
pretty
of
on
the
the
film
nose
describes. Yeah,
pretty on the nose. This didn't make a ton at the box office. I want to be clear because this was like a Netflix release. However, clearly it box officed somewhere because it made $24.7 million in theaters against $100 million budget. Presumably, it's made a lot more than that for Netflix. So that's always weird to analyze now.
Yeah, with streaming and stuff. I know it was the most watched Netflix film for the first 3 months it came out by more than 100 million views. So it was getting watched for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I guess they're banking on subscribers and whatnot. But anyway.
Yeah, clearly. Well, okay. Turn around. Don't drown. It's spoiler time. Again, I feel like you've all seen this and we hadn't, so you're probably fine. Man, what I will say about this is this shit was annoyingly catchy. Like, you know that scene where they're like watching the Soulja Boys like have their first little breakout concert and they're all salty about it and they like do the little thing with their shoulders and and they're like, God damn it, that's catchy. I mean, they didn't say the God damn it part. Yeah. Right. And I was like, that would be me. That would be me sitting here like salty about the fact that I like this movie, this band.
This feels. Would you call? I'm going to ask you the same question I always ask you. Would you call this a musical?
No. Okay. But I mean, I think it's a fair question, but no, because I don't think it leads like. It doesn't it's not consistently like the plot motion is not driven by these songs in most cases. It's usually like they're performing on a stage, right?
There's definitely a couple songs later in the film where I
Yeah,
feel
there's
like
like one with
one
her and
she's like improvising the lines, and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
she's literally saying the plot of the film of I am part
Yeah.
demon and now I have to overcome the demon, and it's like that's just literally telling me what's happening. But
You're just
yes,
giving
aside
it
from
away.
that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be considered a musical. I will say like part of that is maybe like the animation factor as well, but
Hmm.
at the same time there are definitely animated musicals. I mean, I think we would say like some of the Disney musicals are
A
animated
lot of them,
musicals.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, fair question, but I don't think it's like really the driving force here,
Well,
you
yeah.
know.
Well, all that to say, I think regardless of how we feel about that, to your point, the fact that it has such catchy fucking songs and you get one of them every 5 to 10-ish minutes in this, it's just that genius pacing thing that we've talked about before when you are doing something that's super musically influenced. You can make the movie move faster and make people tune in because you're hitting them with a bop every 5 or 10 minutes. So even if you're a little
Yeah.
tuned out, oh, here comes this really catchy song to reel you back in. It definitely works here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's visually compelling. Obviously, it's an animated film, so you get to be a little bit more creative in that way, but
Hmm.
the colors and the contrast and the costuming as it were is all really, like pop, sparkle, dazzle. And it's very K-pop, right? Like it's supposed to be. It's very K-pop-esque. It's very like Asian TV, Korean TV-esque as well. So there's lots of like cute figures and bright colors and
Yeah.
characters.
It
So it's
feels
it's really
very, and
cool.
this is not my place to fucking say as a white dude, but like it feels very respectfully done where they made it a point to cast Korean actors and actresses in this. The locate, like you said, it feels
Mhm.
Korean. The locations in this, I think, are all based on actual locations in
Mhm.
Seoul. So if you were to
Yeah.
watch this, you would, and you lived in South Korea, you'd be like, oh, that's this place. I think that's pretty cool that they made the effort to do that because I think you could in the wrong hands just be like, oh, K-pop's popular right now, let's take advantage of that and just like manufacture
Right.
it. So
Yeah, let's just tap into it and not make it feel authentic at
right.
all. No, it feels very authentic and relatable and but also cute, which I think is the other big aspect of this kind of animation and also K-pop and a lot of just cultural norms as well. And I like how I'm not a huge animation type of person, but I will say like I like some of the things that they keep from it when I think of
Yes.
like old school Sailor Moons of it all. I don't know if you ever watched that. That was definitely like a
Yeah.
tween thing that I watched, but the like
The
crying
crying.
animation
Yeah.
like the song. It's
It
like
is. I said this.
it's
One of the
so
cool
funny.
things about this is they take some cool animation risks. They do some stuff
Yeah.
that I don't know that I've seen done anywhere else before. I'm thinking of when the Huntrix groups first sees the Saja boys, and they're all so hot, and they're doing like the popcorn,
Yeah.
and their faces are getting all red, and
Yeah.
like her
The
eyes turn into
corn
abs.
abs.
Like
Yeah,
I'm just like I've never seen that done before. I think that's pretty fucking clever and unique.
I also like that they're acknowledging like these are demons. We're not supposed to be attracted to the demons of it all. And of course, when they first see them, they don't know that they're demons. But I actually like that it keeps up, that they're like, God damn it, you're hot. Like they're so
Yeah.
annoyed at themselves at being like, the freaking abs, and like, why do you have to be so hot when I'm supposed to be trying to murder you? But that's the other thing that I love about it is like, they're not going to let it stop them from doing their job.
Right.
Okay, like I will fuck a demon ass up. I don't even care if you're cute. Like I will send you back to the
It's
depths,
a
so to
very
speak.
interesting phrasing that you used there. I'm not going to repeat it, but I know I'm not the only one that heard anyway.
I know I
So,
let it happen. Let's be clear. Anyways, but I will just say they were committed to the bit is what I would
yes.
say. We're going to send them back to the depths from whence they came, regardless of how hot they are.
Now, I have a question for you because I'm wondering how much of this is just me being like senile old man Lamar. When I say like this movie isn't for me, I'm not really in the target
That's
market, but I'm
often
watching it.
happening, just so you know.
Say again.
So that's often happening, just so you know. But that's okay.
Yes. Well, what I want to know is how much of my initial not apprehension, but resistance to this film was, I've seen in the last 5 years, I've seen multiple Spider-Verse movies. I've seen what is Intergalactic was the one that they also did. I might have that name wrong.
I can't help you with that. I don't know what you're talking about.
I think it's called Intergalactic or Intergalactic. I might be completely butchering the name, but they did another one. I've seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of films that are tapping into this animation style and humor style.
That's boy stuff and this is girl stuff.
Is that the difference here? Because when I first started with the first 5 minutes of this, I went, I would be enjoying this a lot more if I hadn't seen those 3 films in the last 3 years, because it feels a little bit like a retread.
And if you were a girl, I mean,
I suppose that could be the big difference maker. But there were just the beginning of this. I was like,
listen, I don't want to pigeonhole people. I could be wrong, but my gut check read is that this is like, you are a hetero man. I am a hetero woman. I had a good time with this like heteronormative pink purple, like funny girl flick, not the pink and purple of it all, but like the fun girl part of it all. And you did not, because you're a boy. That's my assessment.
I mean, you could make that leap. I don't think
because
for me,
look at
it wasn't
Ninja Turtles. Like that's a very like, I mean this in the best way. I had a great time watching that movie, but that's like, that taps into like young boy Lamar stuff, right? Like young boy animation, action-y, like those kinds of themes. Same thing with Spider-Man, Spider-Verse. Like this is a young boy that you can relate to. In the case of that, it's a young Latino boy that you can relate to. And the animation is just cool and the topic is cool and it's very like action oriented. I feel like the only real difference here is that it's like kind of a girly lens, a girly topic.
How did you feel? Okay. I'm not discounting your thought, your theory here. How did you feel about Ocean's 8? Did you think that was better because it were different? Because it was like, oh, now
I didn't think it was better, but I liked it, and people didn't like it. You know, like I understand why people didn't like it. It followed the exact same fucking formula though, and it was with women, right? Like, and I think people didn't like it because they thought it was copying the original and it didn't have the same swagger and it wasn't meant and like whatever. And that can all be fine. Some of those criticisms can be totally valid. But I do think a big part of it is that it was a woman-centered, woman-led story. And it was in the context of something that men are typically doing, a heist.
I mean, for what it's worth, this is one dude. I don't doubt that you're not on the money with it, with a handful of folks out there, or a good percentage of men that saw that. I was on board with Ocean's 8 until the last 30 or so minutes, when I just felt like, honestly, the heist itself wasn't all that compelling. I was like, wait, anyway, we don't have to go down a rabbit hole of that. I was just making the comparison of like, I don't personally feel as though the fact that this is women, I don't think
that would be the only reason in every context, for sure. And I would also, I will vouch for Lamar. Lamar is not a bro who can't watch like girl shit. That's not what I mean.
I love Barbie.
You guys have heard him
during
like,
Barbie.
He's a fucking ally, okay? Like, let's be clear. That's not what I'm saying. I just think there's a little bit especially to animation, there's a nostalgia factor and just the kind of things that you related to growing up and the kind of things that you watched at that age and that you really enjoyed. And I don't know that this in particular would tap into those same things for you that you liked as a boy.
I'm reframing the way that you're presenting this, because now it makes total sense, because you're saying it's less about like me not being able to.
I don't mean you literally being a boy, but like being a boy, like young Lamar wouldn't vibe with this, you know?
Because to me, it was less about, oh, I'm seeing this guy thing done with. It was not about seeing a guy thing done with girls. It was, I've seen this animation. I've seen this introduction of characters, especially with Mutant Mayhem. I've seen these humor beats, the food, the eating scene. I'm like, I saw this in Mutant Mayhem. So it wasn't about like, it's girls doing it. It's like, I've seen this build up. But to get into the positives, when this movie won me over, like when I was like, okay, I'm fucking on board. I'm like,
when the songs happen,
not
the bestie
song,
bracelets?
not even the intro. When the demons in hell or wherever they are, and they're like, we've got this idea, and like the demon god deity is like a demon boy band. I'm like, okay, I'm in. Not because it's boys, but like I liked that concept.
The response.
We're gonna have this like music battle of good versus evil, and I went, yep, now the concept, I'm sold.
You
Let's
love a
go.
themed battle. Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that checks out. No, I think, and also I will say again, like I'm obviously rooting for the girl band at this point, but I loved that scene that you're talking about where they're like, do you think this will work? And then they do the little like scene and they're like, like the jewelry is sparkling and they're like doing the
Yeah.
poses or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, this will work. This will work. Like, I just loved that reaction. I was like, yes, it will, because boy bands did in fact work very well, so
Yes.
this will work.
There's a reason they come back around every 10 years or so with a
Yeah.
little twist. I didn't I feel the need to justify why I said I didn't love this film. I liked this film. I thought it was enjoyable, and I really liked the music. There's components I really liked, but there's a lot of exposition to start. Like, we jump right into like, here is the backstory of how you become both a pop star / demon hunter. Like, this is how, and I kind of like it. Actually tapped for me a bit into Sinners, of this is why musicians are so powerful. It felt like there were some similar themes there of they have this ability. I was like, oh, I don't think that was intentional, because they came out around the same time. But I did feel that, and then followed by, here's the fans talking about the 3 females in the band and explaining you their character backstories.
Yeah.
It's a quick like 8-minute run of here's all the exposition you need to get you started on this film, which is funny in its own way. But I also was like, it's doing a lot of heavy lifting to get us started here.
It's funny. I mean, yes, there's a lot of exposition. When I first was starting it, I was, I do the thing where before I write an actual like thoughtful notes, I just live tweet at myself the movie. And one of the things that as it was going through, I said to myself was like, okay, this is a story of family and acceptance. It was like this shift of like, okay, I know where this is going to go now, because to your point of all the exposition of like, I now know where this is leading. So I think in that sense, I thought it was a good theme and I thought it was well done. But I do think it kind of like tells you what it's going to do and what it's going to be, for sure, pretty early on. And so you kind of know the tropes that will follow. What I liked was the modernization of it, the specific characters that they chose. The animation of it to me was really fun, like I said. And I also I loved, like, speaking of the characters, like I loved the little cute tiger thing, and I Googled later and it's supposed to be like a Maltese tiger. And I was like, the problem with this is that I would absolutely follow this Maltese tiger like into the depths. Like, I would be like,
no
yes.
hestation. You're like, I'm going to
no
hell.
hesitation. Like, demons, sign me up, because this fucking tiger is cute, So
yeah,
I loved those components to it that just made it like kind of cute. But the other thing I will say is I think that they did a good job of layering things that, if you so chose, you could do a deeper dive into the analysis of it all. You can talk about like the dual life of being a pop idol, right? Like, they've made it very literal here, where they are fighting demons in their real life. And in our world, for example, that could look very different. That could be like how hard it is to have a public facing persona and then have a private facing persona. And they've really made that manifest in these like physical manifestations and symbols, like the Hanmun, which is supposed to mean soul shield, by the way. So it was like really interesting how I felt it was applying those concepts to something that can just be very bubblegum pop, but it could be more interesting if you wanted it to be.
I would be very curious to like pick the brains of some folks in South Korea who saw this. And I'm like, because I didn't go, I think, as deep as you did on the research, but I saw little nuggets here and there of this does tap into, almost mythological creatures within South Korean culture. And I'm wondering, like, hey, do you feel like this movie does your culture justice? Because it is walking this line of like contemporary pop art versus like historical and potentially religious beliefs. So I would be very curious, if you're from South Korea and somehow listening to this podcast, please let us know how you feel.
I think there's also parts of it that are just universal themes, right? Like, again, the pressure of being in the public eye and being a certain character and being expected to be a certain way. Like, one of the things that came to mind to me is like, she's afraid of these marks that she has and she doesn't want them to be seen. And she wants to erase that background, that heritage, for all the reasons that we know and come to understand. But like, again, if you wanted to make this more relatable to somebody today, it would be like, I have body dysmorphia about myself because there's a bazillion cameras on me every day and people are judging me and my body and my presentation and the way that I move through the world. And there's so much pressure to be in the public eye, and how crushing and difficult that could be. And that she wants to reach these people through her music. That's the one like true thing that centers her in a lot of ways. And so like, I don't know, there's again, it can just be a fun time with some fun songs and some fun animation, or you could look at some really interesting, maybe universal themes that come out of it too.
I don't think I read it as much into the symbolism there. I think that's a good call, and that does add a bit of depth to the message here. And that's why, I mean, I think at the end of the day, like Britney Spears is doing it better than anybody. She's got the music thing, and she's like, I don't hide it. There's no separation at this point. I'm just going to dance in
No,
my underwear with
I'm gonna
knives.
dance
Everyone's going to have a good time
in
where it's
by
going to be
my, I
awkward.
think, front door, and I'm gonna make it weird. You know, yeah, for sure.
So, anyway, clearly inspiration for this. You heard it here first, but
100%.
you mentioned the animation style. That's one of, I think, the key strengths, because for as much as I said at the beginning, I've kind of seen this before. I've felt
Yeah.
these script beats before, the humor, the way the characters interact, the over the topness of it. This does, and Spider-Verse as well as Mutant Mayhem, they all have a unique animation style. As much as I kind of categorize them together, in this, I really love like you mentioned, the color. I love the concept of harmony as this shield and these lines rippling throughout. I like when they have the fight scenes and they're kind of pulling in this soul energy and the different colors come in. So it has its own unique vibe, despite how I'm comparing it to other works right now.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, it's again, it's like it leans a little bit more towards certain kinds of anime, and then it also has just a different, like, I think the colors in this are very compelling, and the usage of that is really intentional. They're supposed to be this bright light. They're supposed to be bringing this optimism and pop and golden hue even to the world for a reason. They're supposed to be bringing this joy and joyfulness, and these colors are associated with that. So I think it's really interesting usage of color, but also the music. Like, to your point, you get to these really great songs, and they're fucking catchy, and they're well written. Like, the lyrics are well written. They're very reflective of the story. But I also think what's interesting about them is just talking about the importance of art. Like, again, if you just want to, like, I don't know, dig into the layers here, it's like the art that is happening here is what has the potential to save the world, right? And to save humanity from demons and their own worst enemy, which is often this negative dark voice in their own heads, right? Which in this story is coming from the demons. But music can save, music saves, and it can combat those negative voices, and that's what their music ultimately is trying to do. And I think that's what makes them the heroes, of course, of the story, the heroines of this story, is like they're trying to save the world through this beautiful art, this beautiful gift that they can give. And it's interesting to see it weaponized, right? Like to see the demons decide to weaponize that same beautiful tool to be dangerous now. So
it reminds me of when Total Request Live was a thing here in America, and it was always Backstreet Boys versus NSYNC, and you had all these other boy bands pop up to kind of try to take advantage. I feel like in this scenario, the demon one would be that band Five. You remember them? Like Baby When the Lights Go Up?
I don't remember Five. The one that popped to my head was O-Town. Actually, as soon as
they were manufactured
O-Town?
by MTV.
Yes.
They were like, we need to take advantage of this. We're just gonna make our own and profit off this shit. But
Yeah.
Five was a boy band. They had one hit called When the Lights Go Out, but they were almost a Milli Vanilli situation where none of them were actually singing, and it was purely manufactured, and the boy band was just a front. I feel like they're the demons in our reality.
They are the demons in the real world for sure. Fuck that. Lame.
But I think, to your point, I like what you're saying with how the message of Huntrix, and I sort of touched on this at the beginning, where throughout the movie, I feel like the songs get more literal of this is what we're experiencing and we're singing about it, but it's relatable to humanity. I feel like there was more of a chance to lean into that with the boy band of it all. I feel like their songs could have been a little more on the nose, as opposed to just we're writing a catchy pop song. Like, if your goal is you're trying to convince, but you're trying to convince, right? This demon entity, it feels like the plot is that it's trying to take over everyone's way of thinking and convince them like you're nothing and you need me to make your life better. I feel like they could have had a song or two where the boy band was trying to convince people of like life is fucking hard and like, wow, this really sucks, as opposed to having them just make poppy music and then simultaneously stealing the souls of people. That's just a little tweak I would have made in the script personally.
I think that's a fair call out and a fair alternative.
Have them be Pearl Jam or Nirvana. Like, have them.
My God, no.
Just grunge.
Just grunge. Like 2000s, early 2000s, late 90s grunge. Let's do it.
I guess Elliott Smith doesn't really work in K-pop. They didn't really have an Elliott Smith.
It does not
there,
translate.
Yeah,
I'm going to be for
bad.
real. Yeah. No, I think my thing is like, I think that's a fair call out that they could use that weapon differently. But I think genuinely the point of that is that these demons at this point, and specifically Guima, who's like powering this messaging, doesn't have the soul to do that, right? Like this is an authentic and a true art when it comes from Huntrix, and they're really connecting with the art and the soul of it all, versus this is just a mechanism for them to win this battle, but they don't have an actual like soulful connection to the music and to what they're trying to say.
I guess they're just trying to take attention away.
I think
from
it can
them.
only be a mockery, right? Like they can only copy. They're supposed to be a shitty facsimile of the real thing. I think that's the point. And that we're supposed to be
just
able,
like O-Town.
Just like O-Town. And we're supposed to be able to be briefly taken by that, right? Everybody listened to the O-Town for a hot second, and then you immediately were like, you know what's the real thing? Not O-Town, Backstreet Boys, and you flipped back, right? So I think it's supposed to be the same situation of like you feel the authenticity and the right, like who the true artists are and who are the true storytellers, because those songs progress that way too. Like the Huntrix songs that are already good and catchy and nice, like get more and more meaningful and more empowering as the film goes on, I think.
Now, for our fans that are listening that have seen this movie, so we're listening to the episode, but also are understanding all of the references that we're making to late 90s, early aughts boy bands. Because I never completely connected the meaning of the O-Town song Liquid Dreams. Can you walk us through what that song was actually about, Mackenzie?
We're talking about K-pop today. I think
also I am legitimately worried that kids
that's what I'm saying. We have some children's maybe listening to this episode. I don't know if we should get into Liquid Dreams, sir.
Don't go listen to O-Town, kids. It's a bad way to start your
It's not a safe space. No, don't do that.
Okay, I'm gonna pivot away from that last thought because I feel like I just lost us. We got a lot of pause buttons there.
All three of the children who were listening to this stopped for sure.
One other critique that I'm going to throw your way. I didn't completely follow Rumi. I'm saying it right? Rumi? Okay.
Yeah, Rumi.
Her character development in the back half of this. First off, I really did like the reveal. I didn't see the reveal coming when she was part demon.
Part demon?
For someone who's watched 100 million movies and seen a ton of these types of, it was like, oh shit, that's almost like a no-brainer.
I fucking was ready. I was like, let's go.
Fair. I didn't pick up. I
wanted her to be part demon,
sleeves and all this, but one thing I didn't get on board with or completely track, I guess, because I was taking notes, was her development in the back half, where she gets sort of unmasked in a way. We see that she's part demon. Her group abandons her. She goes off on her own. Bitches. I think she has an interaction with Jinyu where they kind of like, or like they sort of have a final argument. He disappears. She goes and talks to her would-be mother, her caretaker, has a falling out there, and sort of says, well, if this is the world I'm saving, then maybe I don't want to save it. I'll just build a new one, and then fucks off. And then she shows up in the concert at the end and starts singing a sad song, but then it becomes inspiring. And then the band is like, actually, we're back with her. I didn't track on a first watch that whole character development. That didn't feel earned to me, but can you tell me what I missed of what she experienced and why we're like, oh, she's redeemed and the band likes her again?
Wait, so let me clarify what you're asking really quick.
Yeah.
So you're saying that when she has this realization, she's having all this insecurity about the demon thing. She didn't tell them, they lied. They broke up a little bit. Was gnarly. Yeah. She goes and talks to Celine. Doesn't go great. She leaves again, comes back, has this moment of realization where she sings her song and they join in. And you're like, I don't know why that happened.
Yeah, like what changed in her? Because it felt like she was embracing the dark side, honestly. She had this conversation with Jinyu and she screams
Hard disagree. Sorry.
Let's hear it. Let me hear it.
I don't think she's embracing the dark side. I think she's embracing herself, right? So like the things what I noticed at least about the patterns, the demon patterns, is like when she is exceedingly self-conscious about herself, or she is judging herself or insecure in some ways, like that's when it happens, right? That's when it gets worse, and worse in that it affects her voice, right? It's stealing her voice. She doesn't get to do this thing that she loves, and she can't sing, right? And so it's like this insecurity, this inability to fully accept herself is, I think, what is stealing her voice. I think that's the thing that's really damaging her and muting her own potential and her own self, versus when she is with Jinyu and he's accepting of her and they're both being wholly themselves. Not only can they sing this beautiful duet and be very comfortable with each other, but the pattern doesn't spread necessarily. They're in balance, right? They're in balance, she's in balance. And so I think what's happening is that she recognizes in the interaction with Celine that this person who did love her in their own way rejected a core part of her. She had no control over the fact that she was part demon, and she didn't ever move through the world in a negative, bad, demonic, quote unquote, way. She was just a kid. But this person immediately rejected this part of her that was objectively a part of her uncontrollably, right? And I think she took that as, sure, you love me the best way you knew how, but you also rejected a part of me that's real. I am singing these pop icon, fun, art, like cutesy bubblegum pop songs. And there are parts of me that are not bubblegum pop. There are parts of me that are sad or hurt or normal or have insecurities like everybody else. And that should be allowed. And I have to accept that about myself. And so she comes in with this song that's laying bare those parts of her that are also true, that are also allowed, that are also fair. And it's this moment, I think, of like self-acceptance that is really pivotal for her as a character. And her friends who do love her see that and go, she can be all of these things, dark and twisty, and also bubblegum pop, and still be somebody that we love and that is good. And so like I think they're accepting that part of her as well. I also don't think that they fully rejected her. They were just in shock. Like they were upset that she lied. I don't think they were like, we wouldn't have figured this out with you. They were like, why wouldn't you tell us this? Why wouldn't you trust us with this? Because we're your family. And when she accepts herself is when they can accept her too and see that it makes a whole person.
It makes more sense hearing it spelled out that way. It felt sudden to me because I thought I was tracking the narrative of her going down this dark rabbit hole and like pushing away everyone in her life. So then when she showed up and started singing her song, I was like, wait, we're good with this again? Like it threw me, but it does make a little more sense the way you're explaining it. But something you did mention, we never got clarity on how she came to be born, right? We get this backstory of she's half demon. Her mother passed away when she was really young. We never found out who her father was. That felt like a loose end to me. I thought that was going to be a big reveal later in the film.
I don't know that we're supposed to find out who exactly he is. I think it's supposed to be somebody that feels like a Jinyu type to us, right? Like somebody who made a compromised decision, much like he did, for what might have been initially the right reasons, but ended up being a bad decision or a negative decision. But does it mark you and turn you into a demon for the rest of your, is it justifiable, I should say, that it turns you into a demon for the rest of your life? So I think the implication is that even though her dad was a demon, much like these other quote unquote demons, are they redeemable? Are there things about them that could be redeemable? There's scales to this, I think. But no, I don't think I don't remember us ever finding out who he was.
Again, it's a bad habit of mine to watch movies with the knowledge of someone who's seen a shit ton of movies and always feel like I can figure out where things are going. So to not have that reveal was a bit surprising. I bet it's the crow. I bet it's the like demon crow that's like stalked. That's probably like he's got an attachment to her. Her mom was probably
like the aesthetic of it all. Yeah.
He's got that cool hat.
Cool apparently hat. I love the hat that was stolen from the tiger to the bird. That was such a subtle but adorable thing that I loved.
Did you Did you already reveal like the tiger's name? Do you remember? Did you catch that in your research?
Well, I have the duo, which
Yes.
is adorable. The Derpy and Susie of it all.
Derpy,
Like
I think it's sussy, like suspicious,
Sussy.
like
Yeah,
Derpy
yeah,
and
yeah.
sussy.
Derpy and Sussy,
But
yeah.
it's never said in the film, but I guess that's what the
No.
director has named them. And they released a bunch of merch, Netflix did, and the number one selling item from this was a giant plushie of Derpy, which I think is well
Of
deserved.
Derpy.
I love the
Yeah.
flower pot bit, just
It's
like
so,
the
oh my
staring at
God. The like it just
it's so
and they,
cat
like and it
esque.
goes
Yeah.
on like 3 seconds too long, you know, but like it somehow
That's my
lands. It
favorite
was
kind of
perfect.
humor, though, is like, let's
Yeah.
stretch this out until half the audience is like, why is this
It's
still
like
happening?
we're
The other
done
half
with
is in
this.
tears.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It also got away with it because it's real cute. I mean, let's be honest. He can kind
yeah.
of do whatever he wants, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I honestly, dude, the only other thing that I wrote down that I thought was worth saying was I was semi shocked, but I also give them props here for this is a PG film. They take some risks with that PG rating, and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
the demon body count in this, they're just slicing and dicing. I know it's not blood, but they're getting away with like the from Dust Till Dawn rules of let's use green blood instead of red, and then it's okay. There's a body count in this.
There's a body count, and it gets a little deep too. Like, I mean, if you think about the climax, right, where like the song really comes together again, harkening back to the name of our cocktail, right, is like, and again to this character's journey, which I think is the point of this, is darkness and harmony. Like, there is a darkness and there is a light, and these things have to balance each other, and you have to accept that about yourself, and that's in this final scene, that's in this song. But there's this really dark moment, of course, where Janu sacrifices himself and takes the sword and, you know, absorbs all this energy from Guma
That was a cool
to
twist.
protect
I
her.
liked that. Yeah.
That's a very cool moment. It's a very romantic moment without like the implied, like, you know, there's not like a kiss that wakes her up and saves her, right? It's a very different type of romantic climax. But it's dark and twisty. If you think about it, it's a little bit dark, kind of like some of the battle scenes like you're talking about. So yeah, they went with the P of the PG of it all.
Yeah, dude. Because tell me if I'm remembering this wrong. Like I was taking notes during this. When they save the day and they kill the giant demon thing, it does not bring back all the souls that were previously eaten, right? Like those people are fucking dead. Am I wrong
I don't
there?
think that's made clear. No.
But like I thought,
rephrase. It's not clearly that they come back. No.
Well, because one of the darkest moments for me was the fight on the train, and they realize, oh, the people that were inside were in trouble. They're all dead. Like they disappeared, but we know that means they're fucking dead. And I was like, oh, we see all the souls shooting into the demon mouth or whatever.
But here's the asterisk. To that. I think I could be wrong,
Okay.
but the asterisk to that is his soul is supposedly captured in her sword, and it's supposed to like open the door for a sequel potentially.
Okay.
Because it like is absorbed into the sword. So what that makes me think about all the other casualties as well is like, can they be saved?
Back. That's what I thought. That's what was going to happen. I was like, oh, it's
like
going to be like Avengers Endgame where they everybody's same wavelength. And then I was like shocked when that didn't happen. I went, oh, so those fuckers are all just dead. That sucks.
Just gone.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe in the sequel.
I think there's going to be a sequel to that. Yeah. Well, and it's funny you say that because I was kind of like, this is one that I would be intrigued for a sequel. There's even in Disney movies that I think are really well done. There are so few that I have been like, I would like a sequel to that. You know what I mean? That I have gone to the end of a Beauty and the Beast and been like, let's do another. Absolutely not. Like that Beauty and the Beast.
Turns out there was another beast the whole time, and he also is cursed and ugly, but he's got a good heart. You see? That's me pitching Beauty and the Beast.
I don't want that. No, we're rejecting your pitch. No, thank you. But this was when we got to the end, and I was like, we could totally do a number 2 of this. Like, we could do a part 2 and do it well, is what I mean. Like, I think you could take this story somewhere in a way that could be pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah. And if you bring back the writing team for the music and you just pump out some, need what, 5 to 10 solid pop songs to make something like this happen? Like,
I'm just saying these fuckers cranked it out. This is pretty good. Like they were some good songs.
I think if I read correctly, I saw this in passing. This is the film soundtrack like that was the hottest at any given time. Basically, they had 4 different songs in the top 10.
Yeah, it was like in the top
100.
25 or something. Yeah, it was
the
crazy.
record holder. Like I
Yep.
think second place was Waiting to Exhale and Saturday Night Fever both had 3 at the same time. So this is by definition like the most popular In a Given Moment soundtrack of all time. It's crazy.
And it was simultaneously standing between humanity and soul stealing demons. So, like, they were crushing it on all levels, is what I'm saying. Like, well, I think it was a fun time. I will say, obviously, like, I don't think it's perfect. I think it's definitely like can definitely be like a bubblegum pop type of animated movie, but I think there are also, much like again other Disney films, other really well done animation films, there's an opportunity to look at the layers, and I think it holds up pretty well. So I had a good time. What about you? What was your rating?
I mean, I had a good time. There, like I said, there are strengths and weaknesses. I think the comedy, some of the comedy hits, some of it doesn't for me. The animation is great. The songs are obviously great. The plot, I missed a few things. I don't know that I'll put in the effort to rewatch this and see if I like it better the second time around. So, like, all that to
When there's a
say,
part 2, we'll do a rewatch, you know.
do them back to back the way they're meant to be seen. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I'm going to do the same thing you did last week. I'm going to say, like, for me personally, this is a 7, but I understand why some folks and especially kids are going to think this is a 9, 9.5. But for me, it's a 7 on a personal
Yeah.
level, but that doesn't mean I had a bad time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I don't think it's like it's not the greatest piece of filmmaking of all time. I haven't seen the other animated nominees yet, so I can't add context to if it's the best of the bunch yet. But I think I think it was a really good time. I think if you just like rate it purely on watchability and also for me at least surprise at that. Like I mean I didn't expect. I knew the songs were popular. Like again, people talked about this incessantly early on when it came out. But I didn't expect to like the story. I expected to like the songs. I didn't expect to like the story and think it was compelling at all. And I thought it was cute. I thought it was a compelling story. I think there are holes. I think there are things that could have fleshed out a little bit better. I do think there's an opportunity for a second one though, and I think it's compelling and I would watch it. So I think like an 8, 8.5 maybe, just because
Okay.
I had a good time watching it. But yeah, it's it's an animated movie.
If I take nothing from this film, I really love the concept of chanting couch, couch, couch. Anytime you're gonna
That
go be
was
lazy,
so fun. Couch,
that's
couch,
I'm
couch.
stealing that.
Do you know the funniest thing that Google did? So while I'm watching this, right, I'm like Googling stuff about it and like factoids or whatever, doing the research and writing the notes, whatever. The funniest thing that Google did when I on my phone had searched it and it was just sitting there on the search page was a scrolling banner across Google on before you get to the listing and under the Google search, and it was couch, 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 couch. No shit. I was like, what is this? It was the funniest thing. I was like, I get it. That is the most important part of this film. All right, kids. Well, I think we had a good time with this one. It was more than I expected, I think is what I would say. For sure. For sure. All right, kids. Well, thanks for joining. This was fun for me personally. Come back next week for more Oscars month. It's going to be our final installment. We're going to go ahead and talk about the polarizing, compelling, maybe Marty Supreme, which Lamar hasn't seen yet, so
but you
have to go do some homework.
Opinions about, right?
I do. I have thoughts.
I don't want to spoil it, but if you don't like it next week, will you refer to it as Farty Supreme? I'm just guessing.
We can refer to it as Farty Supreme right now, is what I'll say. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. I don't think it's a straight up bad film, but I do think I have some hot takes, perhaps, is what I would say. But yeah, come back next week for that one. In the meantime, follow us on our socials. We drink and we watch things on Instagram. We're no longer on TikTok. Go listen to our One Battle After Another episode to find out why. But you can always email us at wedrinkandwewatchthingspod@gmail.com, and you can get the video of this on Spotify or YouTube if you're a visual learner. Yep, which, I am. I get it. All right, for now, go have a drink and watch a thing. Cheers.
Cheers.